Hello, and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, but I won't be featured in today's show. This is episode 108, and Brian and Savon break down everything they loved about the new Dungeons and Dragons movie. Mild spoilers ahead. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund.
Oh, there's a countdown.
Oh yeah, I like this. It's some high grade stuff.
3, 2, 1, we're here. What do you know? We're using a new app that just counted us in. I feel like I'm on TV. Are we on TV?
Yeah, man, we're live right now. We are here. Confidently wrong. Coming in
the building.
Hot. No Wes today.
Yeah, where he at?
Wes is out being an altruist, being, a great community figure, supporting kids with standardized test prep at school.
Running for city council?
No, I think he's just trying to counsel the city, helping the kids. You know what I'm saying? He's just doing the thing. So Wes is out here giving back to the community, doing his thing. So this episode, it will not be him, but you'll have the lovely Savon and the incomparable Brian Redondo.
Oh, thank you. Oh, so complimentary. If anyone's incomparable, we all know it's you, man. Dude, you are one of one. You're like limited edition Savant. I know no one else like you.
Well, I hope there's not too many ones like me running around.
No, they're not. If there are, if you run into one, murder that motherfucker.
Oh yeah, gotta. There can only be one big Highlander energy.
Swift kick to the knees. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then chop off his head. That's the only way.
Is that how it works?
I think that's how you kill an immortal. And I know you're immortal. So
we'll see how that holds up in court.
Slice at the neck.
We'll see how that holds up in court. I'm sorry, Judge.
Let history decide. All right, let history be the judge.
I had no choice. There can only be one, and sorry, it's the rules. I don't make them. I don't hate the player. I hate the game.
That's right. Amen to that.
Yeah. So speaking of
games.
We got the transitions.
Great mind. We did. That was unscripted, folks.
Nah, this is organic
you just
stuff
heard
here.
Ear magic. Yeah, that's what happened. So games. Tell me about games, Savon.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie that came out a couple weeks ago. Wes did not see it. He also didn't have an interest in seeing it. So,
I don't know what's wrong with that, man.
Yeah, I thought that would have been...
He's all about the kids, but not about what the kids do.
Dude, yeah. Are the kids D&Ding? Yeah, I feel like the kids are D&Ding.
I think the kids are D&Ding.
I feel like everybody.
D&D has been around for a long time. I'm very surprised at how furious of a comeback. If I can call it a comeback, I don't even know. Like, it just feels like it's out there. Like, D20s... stickers are out there. I see them all the time.
Yeah, I mean, Game Shop, they got it's not hard for me to find a place that sells game dice in any local city I've been in. Like, that's kind of how I see it. So, dude, the internet, man. Internet's made hobbies interconnected to where it's not just a niche in your neighborhood back in the day. Now, if you want to get into D&D, it is easier to find a group than ever.
Yeah, I mean, these days, if you run into a dice game on the street, guys are rolling D20s. They're not.
That's what's hot on the streets. D20s,
black and white dice.
Yeah,
D20s.
People betting their last of their paycheck on a D4 roll. Yeah. I love to see it. People hitting actual nat ones. Love it. So yeah.
So you're the aficionado in our crew. So you got to tell me about Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
Yeah.
What do we need to know about this movie?
Yeah, so here's the beauty. Dungeons and Dragons is basically just a big encyclopedia / you just take what parts you want, and half of it you're making up what you want. So they're taking stuff from the Dungeons and Dragons world that exists, but none of this... Well, I know some of this is based... Some of the characters do appear in certain quests and storyline stuff, but this is its own original plot with original characters and original... everything. I mean, some of the items exist within the D&D games, and the monsters obviously do, but there's really not much that you need to know. The biggest thing is that the Dungeons and Dragons world is as you can probably tell just from the title, a fantastical, magical world. Magic exists, and it's not a unusual thing it ranges in its power to where it can be small and innocuous to absolutely catastrophic and apocalyptic. Death is not a permanent thing. Multiple realms exist. There are absolutely confirmed multiple. It's one of those types of worlds where
are there multiverses? Is it a multiverse?
Like,
sort of.
Yeah, basically.
Like dimensions.
I mean, there's basically different realms and dimensions that might as well be that, or different planes, right? Where okay, they exist in a whole nother just almost like how it is in Ant-Man, right? Like what is it the quantum realm? Like they might as well have their own versions of that, but put a magic twist on it, right? Point is, very big world that basically nothing's really off the table, and that's really all you need to know going into this.
So perfect for entry level folks to get into this because there are no established characters. There's like no comic book references. It's just a world, and they filled it with completely new stories.
Yeah, outside of like spells and creatures and monsters that exist, everything else in D&D, the players themselves are making it up. I played D&D for years with my friends when we did play back back when I was living in New Orleans, and all the highlights of what we did that made it fun were original stuff that we had made up, or some NPCs are come from like the books. If a DM is like using some created content already, but you don't need to know anything going into this. That's the biggest thing. And also shout out to the movie. They did a good job of. Well, I guess you can speak to this more, but I don't feel like you going in you needed to know anything. Like there were moments where I need some backstory, or I wish I had context.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, my knowledge of D&D comes from The Legend of Vox Machina, which is a Amazon Prime animated series, which I really enjoy. And that series itself is based off of a live play thing, like, cast of people playing Dungeons and Dragons on YouTube or whatever, right? So they basically like took their campaign, made it into this animated series. But the movie, I was cautiously optimistic because I like Vox Machina. The trailer looked fun, but naturally, I was very concerned because of other board game adaptations, like the movie Battleship.
Oh God!
I was like, is this going to be awful? Is this just a cash grab into the fantasy hype that we're living in right now? Like they're just trying to basically do a knockoff of like Harry Potter meets Game of Thrones or some weird mix in the middle, and not really pay attention to having a good movie. So I was worried in that regard, but I will say pleasantly surprised at the magic that is Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the expectations. You talked a little bit about how you felt going in. I felt a very similar way, right? This movie wasn't really on my radar, amazingly enough. Maybe I saw a trailer somewhere, like way back, a teaser, but my brain probably didn't even process it because my mind, I would think, I'm gonna watch a D&D movie. They're not gonna make a good D&D movie. I didn't even, I wasn't even entertaining the idea, right? So I didn't see the trailer until I saw Ant-Man 3, back in February. So that's when I saw.
Because we all know Savon Jones does not watch trailers.
Yeah,
you're a captive audience.
Not for stuff that I want to see.
Okay.
Not for stuff that I want to see.
Fair.
But for this, I just saw it. But so I get trailers hype me up. So I did see this trailer for Dungeons and Dragons. I hadn't seen anything in it. I was like, oh, okay. And I could already tell from the trailer, I'll like it on a fan service level. But at the bare minimum. But we'll see if it's actually a good movie that I'll tell other people like, hey, yo, this is actually a good movie. Watch it rather than just you shouldn't watch it, but I know why I like it. So
right. Because you're a fan.
I'm a fan.
Lifelong D&Der.
Yeah, there's
like
enough.
What's your character, Savon? Like, if we have to say.
This is part of why I love
you're
the
a
movie
lifelong
so much.
wizard. You're a lifelong paladin. Like
bard.
You're a bard.
I love making non-combat characters who don't fight, but they like finesse.
Just talk their mouths off?
Basically, Chris Pine's character. That's why.
So who's playing you in the D&D movie? It's Chris Pine.
What I will say is that they did a great job of him being a bard and just making plans and not fighting, but still clearly being, doing his thing. But no, I was always a non-combat person. Some of my other friends would be, one of my homies I used to play with, we had like a Edgin, what was it, Holger the Barbarian? We had one of those dynamics where I was the brains and they were the brawn, and we legit just got shit done.
Wow.
So part of why the movie immediately, I'm like, oh, they're just going with like a bard and their barbarian companion who just do jobs because it's a good duo. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That's very how the game goes. So yeah, no, I would always play a bard.
Okay, so I mean, that gets us into the story itself. So what is this movie about? Like, it's based on a board game, okay, sure, or a role-playing game, but then, how do they turn it into a movie?
I mean, it's its own original story, but that's the thing with D&D. It's always, the stories are never really deep in. They're always ultimately like a fetch quest type deal, right? Or something there's some kind of big goal you need to get done. And that doesn't really lead to a deep story. The rest is more about the characters and the journey, because a staple of D&D games in general is that they're basically, no matter what, because it's a group of friends making these random characters, right? Everybody's character is going to be their own thing with their own values and things they care about. And most people aren't making their characters based off what their friends are doing. They're doing what they want, and then we figure out how we bring these people together. And most of the time, the only thing that brings a bunch of people together in most films is a heist type film, right? Oh, we all need to take a thing, get a thing. Different reasons, but...
MacGuffin.
Thank you. That's the word we're looking for. There's some kind of MacGuffin that keeps the plot going for everybody. And that's basically what this movie was. It was basically, and I don't say this in a bad way, but it basically was a heist film, but in the D&D world, which is basically how most D&D campaigns work anyway, because... you got to find a reason to bring everybody together. MacGuffin is a thing that either needs to be stolen or destroyed or found or whatever. Okay,
so
cool.
what is that in this case?
Yeah, so in this case, well, that's kind of what made this fun. It was a lot of things, but ultimately it's this, I think this resurrection key that our main character Edgin wants to use to bring back his deceased wife, who was killed because of his own actions. So. And also the plot, it's just like, because it's a group of thieves, money. Like it's a mix of money, generally money, but in the context of the main plot of this movie, he's trying to bring his wife back to death, bring his wife back from death. And
I love that they needed the loot to bankroll the bigger heist, right? They had to do like the side heist in order to do another side heist to do the main heist.
Mm-hmm. And the dude, doesn't make an honest living, and yeah, so we get us a heist film, and which I think that alone was what made a big chunk of this movie work, because that's just a very accessible type of movie.
Yeah,
like heist films are just a bunch of people coming together for MacGuffin. That's not a new thing. It works. It worked in Avatar: The Last Airbender. All right, what's the thing? The war. All right, cool. Well, even though we all want different stuff, this war is what brings us all together. All right, cool. That's gonna keep it going, and now we have adventures.
Yeah, I mean, Italian Job, like that's kind of basically what they're doing.
Any
here.
Ocean's movie.
Yeah, anything with an ocean in it.
Yeah, Ocean's 1,
Still
2,
this movie.
3.
Inception, also a heist movie. Like, yeah, it works, right? So it's a formula that works, but set in the Dungeons and Dragons world.
Yeah, so it's accessible. So that being said, how'd the movie land with you? Like walking out of the theater, how are you feeling after you saw, Honor Among Thieves?
I just felt like, damn, that was a good ride. Like it just delivered on exactly the things I want from a popcorn movie. It had characters who were charming and who I was rooting for immediately. They all had the dynamic between each other that made it fun and energetic. And then all the set pieces that they were taking us to, it's like, we're going to, as I said, we're going to do this heist and that heist and meet this person and do that person. Mm-hmm. And you slowly get introduced to the lore that way, right? And the mechanics and how the magic works and, how all the worlds are designed and the different types of beings or people. I don't even want to say people, but like the different class types that you meet.
Yeah, just different races.
In the role play. Right, different. They call them races, right? So, so you're kind of like introduced to that world, and it all pays off so nicely, because by the end of it, you want these characters to get that MacGuffin, and the reasons behind it, and what I think what set it apart from other movies in this, in the glut of fantasy that we're getting out of Hollywood right now is that it didn't have that winky, self-aware thing that a lot of these pop culture movies do. Right? It didn't have like the Deadpool thing. It didn't have like, even like the MCU thing where it's kind of making fun of itself a little bit.
Yeah, it's not poking fun of its own tropes.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not being meta.
It's nothing meta at all. It's kind of like taking Dungeons and Dragons, the world, seriously in some ways, but putting likable, funny characters in that world. And I think, to me, that's how good movies used to be, and I love seeing it in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think one of the things that really stood out to the movie for me was, and I agree with everything. I walked out just feeling like, man, that was fun. Like, yeah. I felt like I was like, wow, I just had a genuinely good time. That was the movie's like 2 hours and 14 minutes. Not a short movie. Like, you're getting some movie.
Oh, and yeah, it's got heft.
Yeah, I walked out just smiling.
Yeah, I wanted to like
fun.
high five someone at the end of the movie. Like it was that kind of experience.
Yeah, and so
we did that.
Yeah, like we did it. Y'all always saw Honor Among Thieves. And so one of the things that made the movie work for me, and I'm glad you appreciated this, was that it had, don't get it twisted, this movie had a lot of humor, but the humor was consistent with kind of what would happen. And like, I don't know, the humor was very organic and natural, especially in the context of the D&D world. Like the barbarian character, Holga, was never... She's always funny, but she's never trying to be funny. She's just very blunt and forward and tactless, and it just means funny encounters and moments, and you're not really disrespecting or making fun of the character because she's still capable and a badass, but also she just has these other quirks that are just very organic to her, and it works. But it still is respectful to the character. Like even Simon the Sorcerer, who kind of is a little bit of a punching bag in the movie because, you know, he's so inconsistent, he still absolutely carries his weight and does really dope shit that's, you know, it balances the characters out. And so it really, the movie just really felt like an actual, it felt like a D&D campaign. Like the humor, the different characters, and the random creativity. Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
So as a D&D player, did you feel like it matched your own personal experiences as Savon the Bard?
Hell, me not
doing whatever you do.
When Homeboy was tied up and they were about to execute him, and the barbarian, you know, Holga went nuts and started whooping everybody's ass. When I tell you that has happened so many times in actual games where I'm trying to like stall or talk shit or like, you know, create a window for like, okay, I'll have a keyword and we move the plan on this or blah, blah, blah. And everyone else is about to start fighting. And then I'm kind of just like helpless, not contributing physically. Just like, all right, y'all got this. Like bards can actually
just talk. Chilling.
Bards can actually
like
talk shit as
weed
a spell.
In the corner.
No, they can actually talk shit as a character. It's like a spell. It's called Vicious Mockery. So my character will just be, okay, well, I can't really attack and I'm not going to run up because I'm squishy, but I can give you debuffs by literally trash talking. So
I'm just going to mock the hell out of the situation.
The person directly, you can verbally assault people and it has actual ramifications. It is glorious. So
how has that not come to video game RPGs? Come on, I want that feature.
Because the thing about D&D, you can say whatever the hell you want. You can get creative. You can get very creative. No, but it was great. There were moments, you know, I think the best thing I enjoyed about the movie that was similar to the D&D game, and I think we talked about this in the before we started recording, was, how do you pronounce his first name? Our friend from Bridgerton, is it Roger? Roger Jean Page?
I have no idea how to say that guy's name, but you know, everybody knows this guy, the thirst trap from Bridgerton.
So he plays a paladin named Zenkiandar, and you know, I didn't know what his role in the movie was gonna be from the trailer. I was like, oh, he's gonna be a badass. Cool. I wonder how he's gonna balance out in the party, because, you know, even in the trailer, he looked kind of OP. And I love that he was just, and we talked about this, he was a I think a dungeon master insert character. So the person when you're playing the game, like for listeners, when you're playing the game, he's someone who the person running the game puts in and they control, and their job is basically to kind of guide the story basically so that you can give them exposition, let them know what the MacGuffin is. Hey, here's the thing you need to be doing right now. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I'm a badass, so you won't just get killed with me. Like, he gave those long instructions about the bridge. That was clearly just a dungeon master who made an elaborate puzzle for his party, or for their party.
It's so funny.
And then it just, like, the crew's just like, oh, we're not about to do this shit.
It's so funny that you realize that that's exactly the role he was playing. Because, like, when I was watching, I was just like, oh, this is hilarious. This guy's kind of like part of the heist crew, but only for a little bit. And then he goes away. I was like, oh, he's no longer part of the crew.
He goes all the way away.
He's like he has the right amount of screen time. And the best part is like, to me, it was like his dynamic with Chris Pine, who's the lead character, and Bard, right? Here's his polar opposite, a tightwad kind of dude who's playing everything straight. But because he is so deadpan with everything, it's hilarious. Like, he had some line about treacherous booty that he was saying unironically. That was like the biggest laugh in the movie.
I was like, oh my God, this man dead serious. No, he was amazing. And then, like, I had to, hindsight some of this. Everybody in the group recognized him except for your boy, heard of him except for your boy, Edgar, right? Or Edgin, who was just like, I don't know this dude. Everyone's like, yo, we all heard of this man. And it's been like, he's a great badass. We see him literally saving a child the first moment we see this man on screen. Oh, we should have given a spoiler warning. There's spoilers.
Oh, well, whatever.
He's saving a
see
literal
it anyway.
child.
They're going to enjoy this.
Yeah, it's still fun. He's saving a child. He literally lives up to all the, normally when they have a character who you try to hype up and say, oh, they're all these awesome things. Normally it's meant to, you're going to see, oh, it's what's the catch? Or, oh, it's not true. And it's like, nah, this man lives up to the legend. Everyone's heard of him. Everyone loves him. Everyone wants to be him. He's super dope. He's a badass. He's honorable. He's had a tragic backstory and lost his loved ones, but he still fights the good fight. He tries to inspire your boy to be a better person. All that shit. And then he just walks off.
Yeah. And then he deuces, like, after, like, 30 minutes or something.
Makes the dude pledge to give away the money. It's just like, pinky promise, you'll give the money to the people of the city after. And it's like, oh, this dude is dead. It was just such dungeon master energy that I was just cheesing at him every time he was on screen. It was hilarious.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, like when he walks away, like they do that long shot of him walking away into the distance with the Bard, of course, doing vicious mockery.
Just talking
is he going to keep walking in a straight line over that rock, or is he going to go around the... Oh, nope, he went on top of the rock and still walking in a very straight line. Great moment. So, I mean, that's kind of what
Straight out of the game. That's the kind of stuff that would happen in the game.
I appreciated the movie because you have these interesting characters and everything, all the trials and tribulations that they go through. It was very much about the dynamic of those characters, right? And in an earnest way. It wasn't like, false or meta or whatever. Like, it's about how these characters play off of each other, and to me that sounds like a big part of the appeal. When you talk about, like, me and my friends made individual characters, let's see how they fit together. This was that on screen.
Yeah, because they're complete. So they have nothing in common, and it's still like, all right, we're all forced together, so it's gonna be entertaining no matter how you spin it. Which, again, the movie, I'm glad. Like, I don't know if people realize D&D is more comedy than anything else. Like, half the time it's jokes, it's people laughing, it's people doing silly things in situations. So when it gets quippy and ridiculous, it's very much in line with, like, this is the tone of how D&D... Like, yeah, sure, there's zombies and undead and, like, undead people doing all this awful stuff, but, like, also people are just, like, laughing and just causing mischief a lot of the time, too, and trolling each other. So there's a lot of tonal range that the movie did a good job of covering.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, in a lot of D&D campaigns, people kind of do things with their characters just to muck stuff up, right? Like, they some people play the game to win the game, but other people are playing it with different motivations, and that's part of the fun.
So what makes, and this kind of, with the movie, this movie actually kind of kept this part not super complicated, which I think is actually fine. But what'll make D&D really interesting is that when you're making your character, depending on who a person running the game, how intense they are about it, they might really grill you a bit about, okay, what are your character's actual morals and values? Because you're going to be encouraged to make decisions in line with what their actual values are, not just what you would want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, even if it's
role playing.
Yeah. It's a role. It's an actual. So it's like, it's really one of those. Even if it's not for the good of the party, for your character to deck this person in the face, if this is an insult that would absolutely set them off to deck them in the face, you and your friends might all be sitting in sitting in the back room together in the kitchen in real life, looking at each other like, yo, you got to punch him? It's like, I got to, because this is what so-and-so would do. And bam, next thing you know, you're in a bar fight. Like, that's really how it happens, And so it's semi-intentional, but that's what makes it fun, because you have these different characters who bring different dynamics to the table, right? Like, you have Chris Pine's character who's going to be the engine, but clearly he's also a liar and a manipulator, which is very in line with how a lot of bards legit operate. Like, that's their thing, is being charismatic and getting folks to do stuff. That's in line. Simon having the magic that's really inconsistent and all over, like, that's really how sorcerers are. And you have one in the party, it's like, yo, he could be our resident badass, but he could also just be like, yo, dude, we need you to step up right now. Like, that's really how the games are. And yeah, it was well pulled off.
So which of those characters do you want to highlight that you think made the movie for you?
So, I don't know, man. The cast was really good. So initially, and I say this to someone who, I'm not exactly like a big Chris Pine fan. I don't dislike him, but he's never really wowed me in anything. He was great.
Agreed.
The bard energy, the laughing, the have a plan. His character, just his entire motivations and backstory legitimately are like tragic, and when he has his whole spiel about everything I've ever cared for I've lost, like, that's real talk. He's the reason he lost everything and damaged his relationship and with his daughter and all that stuff. The dude has legit sad backstory, but he does a good job of balancing that with just being this charismatic but still slightly slimy, but still kind of not cruel guy, and it's fun to watch. It's a fun lead.
Yeah. He's morally gray.
Yeah,
to some degree.
Yeah,
right?
it's like he'd be like almost chaotic good, maybe. He's in like that chaotic good area if we're gonna look at the alignment chart.
Is this actual terminology from Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, you never heard of the alignment chart?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. You're like speaking
sorry, bro.
Astrophysics
I know
to me
right now. My V. So no, the alignment chart's really simple. It's basically, and it's like it's more of a spectrum, but it's basically just what is
this like Myers-Briggs? Is that where we're going with this? A Enneagram?
But even simpler than that, of just, all right, what's your moral range? It's either good, neutral, evil, and then that ranges from either lawful, neutral, chaotic. So like, are you lawful, good, neutral, chaotic? So are you someone who's good but does it within the confines of the rules? Are you someone who's good but does it by your own rules? Are you, somewhere in the middle? Same with evil. And, are you lawful evil, where you're like maybe a corporate bad guy who does it within systems? Or are you chaotic evil, like
the Lex Luthor?
Yeah, are you chaotic evil, like, I don't know, Firelord Ozai just committing genocide? It's one of those, or somewhere in. But so like, you don't have to follow it, but it gives you an idea of how certain characters might generally act.
As a filmmaker, that sounds fascinating.
Yeah,
maybe that's how people should think about, or what they should think about when they're writing new characters.
It's a fun lens to look. Yeah, like Ned Stark is like, lawful good, obviously. Like he's like the literal lawful good character to a fault, to where it got him killed. Compared to Cersei, who's like, or Tywin, who's like lawful evil.
Yeah, so I think for me, like, I really appreciated the Simon character, because he was this kind of lowly wizard, or like third-rate wizard, who also didn't believe in his own abilities, but he's the best they could get. And as somebody who has made a lot of independent projects before, I love people who are the best that I can afford. We'll see if they step up. And he did. And and even his third-rate magic that was still cool, right? Like when he was pickpocketing people at his magic show, and then suddenly does the gravity spell and everyone's upside down. Like that kind of stuff was just like a fun way to see magic used, right? We're so used to the Harry Potter world, and they, and they do these wizard battles, and people are just shooting different colored lights at each other, and you don't even know what it means. Like, what is any of that? But in this, they took
these are all spells in the game. These are all spells in the game.
They thought about it, right? Like, and that's, you kind of have the benefit of, there's decades upon decades of lore in Dungeons and Dragons, and that they can reference real magic spells that have been thought out and imagined, and all they really had to do was decide which ones to employ here. Like, what would make sense for this third-rate wizard? And then on top of that, Homeboy is trying to like kick game to the druid. It's like, hey, remember me? We went on a date.
It's like
that was just a great dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, and the best part is that even though, to your point, even though his whole arc is about his confidence issues, and I think Edgar points it out at the end too about how, dude, the fact that you even did that gravity spell under duress, and the fact that you were finessing the pickpocket, like, yeah, stealing's wrong, but like, hey, you were. To be able to do spells that look crappy while intentionally robbing folks, that still takes skill. Like, it didn't. That kind of stuff made the payoff at the end not feel cheesy, because he did legit from his first appearance actually be deceptively, just because he's not confident doesn't mean that he's not confident doesn't mean that he's not competent. Which is two different things.
He's got a high rating in Magic, or whatever the stat is called. In D&D.
Yeah, he's a sorcerer. So. Yeah, and then I really want to give a shout out to Michelle Rodriguez. She
deserves more love.
I
think she's so wasted in Fast and Furious, or that's like her only thing.
She was so good in this movie of just playing it straight. Like, and again, we talked about this in the pre-show of they did a good job. Well, they just respect what the characters are and put them in organically funny situations. The barbarian character is blunt, to the point. Not very very tactless, and just says what's on their mind, and it led to just naturally funny situations, and it didn't feel forced. And also to see Michelle Rodriguez do that, but still be this loving and caring figure to the daughter, and still be this rock and friend to Edgin was, like the entire scene with her and Bradley Cooper. Come on, bro. I was not ready.
Oh, that was
I was not
amazing.
ready. I was not ready for that. I wasn't ready for Bradley Cooper as a halfling. I wasn't ready for her to really confront her baggage and them having a legit, real adult conversation about why their relationship failed. And there's no bitterness and there's no hate, but it's like hey, I hope you're happy. You deserve happiness. I'm happy. And like, that's real. Like, that's real adult shit.
I just love that. The halfling definitely has a thing for larger women.
Like, yeah, and
she
has a
we're
thing
talking
for
about
halflings.
Fantasy world larger women.
Yeah.
And also Holga as the barbarian also maybe has a thing for smaller dudes.
Well, you saw it at the end, right? When they got the award, she was eyeing. When they got the award at the very end, she was eyeing up dude like a little snack. She was looking up.
Yeah, for real, like legit snack.
She was really eyeing him down. I was like, oh yeah, she has a type. But again, it was like, yeah, that's how barbarians will probably be. They have a type. They're going to say, I like you and I want you. What's up with it? Let me holler at you. What's happening with it?
Yeah, not going to lie. I like the WNBA. That's where I live at.
But yeah, overall though, the movie's cast was just all across the board really good. There were no real weak links. I want to just give shout out to everybody. Hugh Grant playing Forge was great because he was just hamming it up as a villain so hard and so unapologetically sleazy, and he was just like, oh, we're gonna hate this guy top to bottom, and I hate him so much that I started to love him because I love how comfortable he is with himself. He's a thief and a con man. He knows it. He doesn't pretend to be that. He pretends in the context of being a con man, but like. People who know him know, yeah, I'm a con man. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And I respect
why did you expect anything different?
Yeah, he even told him, like, yo, I'm a con man. I conned you. Like, what are we doing here? And I'm like, yo, he's out of line, but he's right. Like, this is what he do. You knew this one. So, yeah, the cast was great across the board. I enjoyed the acting with everyone.
Yeah, there was no wasted character, I feel like.
I don't think so.
And what about, okay, let's talk about set pieces. Like,
Yeah, please.
In a campaign game, in a D&D movie, it's all about each individual adventure that builds up to the whole. So what set pieces or sequences were you feeling the most in this?
Oh, man, there was so many because they really, like the whole maze gladiator battle, the scene with the big chunky dragon, and just that whole failed lava cave sequence. I think you and I both, we talked about this. I think we both have to agree that mirror staff heist for the treasure had no business being as well thought out and as good as it was.
It was so well thought out.
It was so well thought out.
Well, so for people that haven't seen the film, can you give us a little hint at what that even means?
Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, it's tricky. So basically, at a certain point in the movie, our group has a staff. The staff can put a little portal that you can basically make a portal go from one spot to another if you can see it. They are trying to infiltrate an event that they can't get into or break into a vault. Their plan is to try and use that to get into the vault. But you can't see the vault, right? You can't see inside. So their plan is to try and sneak into basically, what is it, like a caravan, basically? What is the word? Yeah, a caravan?
Yeah, a caravan.
Yeah, sneak into a caravan and sneak the mirror into their treasure, basically, with a portal on it, and use that placed treasure as a way to then sneak into the vault. I know it's complicated. Basically, they're just trying to use the mirror and the teleporter to get into the vault.
Yeah.
But to do that,
they have the portal.
Yeah, but to do that, they have to sneak. They have to place the painting into this caravan. So they have to sneak into a caravan, get the mirror in there, and then sneak out without them noticing. And it just involves the entire group using their entire skill set. Some of it involves beating up scouts on the road. Some of it involves our friend who can transform, turning into a creature and going inside. Some of it involves our wizard friend just having to maintain a really challenging spell. But it involves the entire group coming together, using every inch of their abilities, and having to, like any heist film or heist moment, something's going to go wrong. All right, how are you going to adapt to the challenges? And
yeah, we're going to Plan D, man.
Yeah, Plan D, and it's
the same as Plan B, but Plan B has a stink on it.
Yeah, so it was great, and again, it felt like, if you're not someone who's played D&D, just a really good heist movie, problem-solving puzzle sequence, basically. And if you play D&D, man, this is exactly how it feels like when you and your friends spend forever coming up with a complicated plan, hoping that it works, and you still have to deal with the natural hiccups because it's D&D and you're rolling dice, and sometimes shit just not going to go right. Like, luck is a number in D&D, and you will statistically just get unlucky, and you got to be able to play it by ear.
From like a visual effects standpoint, like watching that in the theater, they're playing with the shifting perspectives of one person, jumping through a portal, ending up in a different place. But because the portal can, it can be on the ground, or it can be up front like a mirror would be, or, it could be on a ceiling. So like the perspective keeps changing depending on how people were going in and out of the portal. And so that made just like some very cool visual effects and it was kind of trippy, much in the way that, Portal, the video game, is like.
No, it was exactly that. It was a portal gun, but in staff form. That's what the item was.
It also reminded me of X-Men Days of Future Past.
Mm-hmm, Blink.
When the character Blink, fan favorite, put a portal, somebody throws a punch in one portal, gets hit on the other side, that sort of thing. So that was like very cool, but they took it to the next level. Like this was next level, that gag.
Yeah, the writers were in their bag creating that sequence, and again, what they really did well was, yes, you're right, you said it earlier, Brian, that D&D gives them a huge lore to work with, but they were very good about what they chose to pull and how they chose to implement it and use it. Because, there's certain spells in the game that are absolutely busted and solve all your problems. And I feel like they were, as a group, as strong. Like, their strength made sense in the context of what they were trying to do. No one felt super overpowered or like, oh, they can just solve all the problems. Like, no, this is a pretty it felt very doable, and like the stakes were there, but not like, oh, y'all just got lucky and had plot armor and got this done.
Yeah.
And so it felt the victory felt earned.
It was earned.
It felt very earned, and that is that can be hard to do in movies. Although D&D, usually the odds are stacked so hard against you that any kind of success is you take what you can get.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, this brings me to the next question, right? So we got these like fun heist things happening in the movie, in that spirit of random people coming together to get it done. Savon, can you tell us what one of your best stories involving maybe not strangers, but just like a group of people getting something done? Like, actually, I feel like you have a good story for this. Let me take a step back and kind of answer it for myself. So like, I'm kind of like filmmaking is exactly like this. Just a bunch of random people coming together very intensely for 5 days and like working something out. That's one thing. Playing big up basketball, also very, very much the same thing. Hey, when you're on a good team and you like own the court, you like, oh, we're notching victory after victory. We're not getting off this court.
Yeah.
Like that is a good feeling. Like I don't know this 6 foot tall dude, wearing 95 Jordans, whatever. But dude is stroking it, and I'm gonna feed him. I'm feeding that dude. You just get synergy. Also, like another random example. Me and my friends going to bobblehead day at Old Shea Stadium, and like, we're gonna try to get as many bobbleheads so that we can sell those shits for more money than they're worth. And so, what we got to do? We all got to come together, crowd the person giving out said bobbleheads, and confuse them because there's so many of us.
Oh my
so
God.
That some of us are distracting that person. Another person is grabbing a bag full of those bobbleheads.
Y'all taking bobbleheads?
So, this, heist, that's a legit heist. I still have mine from that adventure. It was a Mookie Blaylock, New York Mets bobblehead, by the way.
Good God.
But yeah, these sort of things just kind of happen in life, and you roll with it. But so, Savon, tell the listeners, like, what is your D&D IRL best memory?
Yeah, so one that so this is a high school one. When I was in high school, there was a teacher that me and some of my homies, we were just not a fan of this person. They were rude, mean.
The teacher was rude.
Yeah, but you know how it is at school. Sometimes you just beefing with the teacher. I don't know who was right and wrong in hindsight.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
why they got to fail.
I'm biased, protagonist energy, so I think they were in the wrong. But it is what it is. So me and my homies were like, "Hey, man, we about to." And Guitar Hero was very popular around this time. All this, right? And so for people who are familiar with the song or the group Dragon Force, they have a song from the games called Through the Fire and Flames. Very intense power metal song, like 9 minutes long, just very dramatic and loud and intense.
The sample, can you sing it?
I don't have words to sing it because I don't have words to sing it.
Noises? Can you just do noises?
No, I'm just going to tell. No, I'm not about to make the guitar noise because it's not even going to make sense. But it's like, through the fire and the flames we carry on. Y'all know, yeah.
Oh,
people who, if you know, you know.
God.
But it's like, it's
Oh
it's
my
one of
God.
them. It's like dramatic power metal, like Viking energy type stuff. This teacher had a bunch of computers in their room, and we learned, we were messing around with computers then. You can change audio for very specific sounds and just audio cues on your computer. And that includes the startup music. So normally it's just like a little jingle. You can replace that with really any type of audio file you want if you know how to find it. And so we just went and got an audio file of the song, 9 minutes, put it on there, and we just did that to a bunch of computers. Like, it was like, like 15 computers in that room. And we did it to all the computers, and we were able to do it because oh
my God,
some of us were in debate, and so we were able to just kind of. You were also using that room as like a work planning room and like after school one time. So we had. Point is, we were able to. A lot of people are generally in that room in general throughout the course of just a school day, week, whatever, and we set it to some of the not all, some. And when people logged it on, Through the Fire and the Flames would just play full blast through the speakers, very loud. And
Could they X out of it?
It's a 9-minute song. I mean, because it's the startup music, right? It's the startup music for your computer. So there's nothing to. Normally, it's intended to be like a 2-second, half-second jingle, not an entire song. So generally, it's just gonna play that audio file once. But if the audio file's a 9-minute song, it's just gonna play that joint.
Full blast.
It's just gonna play that joint, and it was great.
Oh my God! What was the aftermath of it? Did that teacher
Nothing. We didn't get caught. They just didn't know who it was. Just say, man, people messing with the computers. Like maybe they could have inferred it was me and some of my friends because they might have assumed we were the nerdy tech savvy kids or something. But like no one knew who it was, and the teacher I think was just pissed off, and I'm okay with that. Like, hey,
how long did it last? Like, how long are those still on those computers to this day?
God, no, this was so long ago. No, the teacher, so they had somebody fix it, like the next day or something. It wasn't like that for long, but them trying to figure out actively what was going on was, like chef's kiss. Just, this is the funniest. This is one of the funniest things ever. Also, we had assigned seats, so I made sure to do like a seat that I wasn't assigned to. That's good Bard thinking.
Yeah,
you gotta, come on, man, you gotta cover your trails a little bit. We came together.
I love it. That's like the next level Rick roll. That is, mass Rick rolling. I always appreciate a good Rick roll. So like, bravo, taking up to the next level.
About this movie, there's one thing. I want to go briefly back to the movie.
Yeah. Let's bring it back. Let's bring this ride home.
Yeah. So one thing that I loved about this movie, this has nothing to do with D&D. It just has to do with just writing. One thing I'm always paying attention to in movies, and we've talked about this, is how is there a hamstring? Is there a shoehorn love interest? Does this character only exist to be, rescued or be just like eye candy for blah, blah, blah? Do they actually contribute? That whole thing. And one of my favorite parts of this movie was Edgin Darvis, the Bard's actual like character development at the end of he cared about bringing back his wife, not his daughter's mother, and him being intentional about saying exactly that. Because it can come off as I want to save your mother, but they made it clear when Holga is killed, right, or she's dying, that Holga was her mother.
All good. Keep going.
We said spoilers.
We've been spoiling this thing already.
Yeah, we've been going in.
I think like even with the spoilers,
it doesn't matter.
We're gonna enjoy this.
That part doesn't matter.
Go ahead.
It matters, but like you'll enjoy it. So when Holga's dying, them doing the whole and making it clear, her mother died when she was an infant, and that's sad and tragic for you losing your wife because of your own actions. But your daughter was raised by Holga, and that's her mother figure, and that's who she loves and is her maternal figure. And I love them leaning into that. I love anytime a movie can just talk about how family just exists in just the fluid nature of what family actually means. And then for them to have this amazing, we still have a young person who is a daughter for both of us who we raise and care about, but otherwise have a very strictly platonic relationship that is still a deep and loving one. And not enough movies do it, and I really appreciate when it's executed well. And I thought this was executed very well. You could sense that Holga and Edgin truly loved and cared for each other, but it just wasn't romantic. And they still are parental figures to the daughter, and it's like, all right, cool, we're still her parental figures and all that stuff, but it doesn't mean that we don't have our own romantic lives. Or, Edgin just isn't dating at all because he obviously isn't over his wife. And Holga's whole thing is moving past her ex because of her own actions and inability to, kind of move on and accept her own situation. And like I thought that was super well done, where they rely on each other, they need each other, they're interconnected, but they still have their own stuff and own individual development and hurdles to get over. And not a lot of movies do that. And I thought that was a really nice touch, because they could have easily have tried to force a romantic thing between them. It's like, nah, dude. Like,
thank God they did not.
And she's a barbarian, he's a bard. They cut from completely different cloths, and that's what makes their teamwork dynamic work. It doesn't have to be a romantic one.
And we already know he's too tall for her.
Yeah, and
she's got a height limit.
Yeah, and he's too big.
Most women usually just have like a height minimum. She's got a height limit.
So you have to be this short to ride the Holga.
He's over 5 feet. That's too much.
Yeah, you're big.
Yeah.
But no,
maybe
it was
4 feet is too much.
No,
But
but it
yeah,
was
I
sweet.
appreciate they avoided the trope. They didn't fall into some generic Hollywood stuff, and by doing so, arrived at a fresher place, writing wise and emotionally. So, kudos to them for that. So I mean, it sounds like both of us we really enjoyed this. The D&D aficionado, Savon the Bard, appreciated this movie.
In the game, I do is
I
call
liked
Slim
it.
the speaker.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
On the nose.
KD the Bard, like amazing. Love it. Slim the speaker. You like this movie? Should we get more D&D IP? Should we get a sequel to Honor Amongst Thieves?
Like, you could do a sequel, sure, but the beauty of D&D is that what made this movie work in the first place is that it's a blank slate. You can literally do whatever the hell you want with any characters, any type of characters, any setting, any creatures. It can be serious, silly, high stakes, low stakes. Is the mission to slay a goblin in a cave that's terrorizing the town like a little weed thing, or is it a, monster trying to apocalyptic world-ending thing? Like, there's the world, the world is their oyster. So yes, give us more. As long as we have people who I think are passionate about the game itself, who can bring that energy to it, which I think is a good blend of fantastical adventure but levity and comedy. I think that's really where D&D thrives. If it gets too serious, it's just Game of Thrones or it's just Lord of the Rings. I think the humor and levity really works, and I think if they lean into that, I would love more D&D stuff.
Yeah.
But,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Like these characters, they had a very satisfying journey. I'd be down to watch them again, but now that you say it, I think it almost would be so refreshing and perfect if we just got a whole different crew, whole different campaign in a whole different movie, but in this world. I think that'd be really interesting. We should have like anthology movie series. We don't, right?
Hell yeah.
We have anthology TV shows, but why not movie series? So
I'm with you, dog.
there's something for you. Yeah, people out there, go check it out. It's not the only nostalgia bait out right now. There's lots of other things going on. Super Mario is one of them, but I think D&D deserves some more attention than it's getting. We at Confidently Wrong, we're down with it. They rolled a 20 on this one or whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to.
That's like a perfect. That's like a.
Is that a perfect? Is that a good thing?
If you
nice,
it's a
nice.
20. If you roll a 20-sided dice, rolling a 20 is very unlikely and is the highest number. So you get a 20, a 1 in 20 type deal. Like the best thing happens. If you compare it to a 1, where the worst thing happens, like when your boy messed up the hologram because his foot got stuck. Like they said roll a stealth check and he rolled a 1. And you're like, oh well, you just get your foot stuck on like a rock and you just F it all up. So again, very much how D&D goes. You have a plan that's amazingly done, and that shit goes out the window just because of sheer bad luck.
Yeah. So on the go see it test, they rolled a 20.
Yeah,
I'm down with that. Go see it. Check it out. And that's us. That's Confidently Wrong. Savon and Brian, do it again. Slim the speaker. And
award-winning director Brian Redondo. He really do this.
I'll be a druid.
All right, you want to be
something.
a druid? Oh yeah. We should have asked you what class would you want to be if you played. Like, what would you want to? You saw some of the stuff in the movie.
I love the animal changing. That was cool.
Druid.
We didn't even talk about owlbears, but that was dope as hell. The druid doing the spy thing, that was dope.
They had some good camera work moments, dude.
I'm down with that.
Mm-hmm. That
so
one shot.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you're talking about that. No, like the one shot with the druid. I loved it too.
Yeah.
With the escape sequence.
Yeah. So let us know, people out there. Let us know on Instagram at confidently_wrong. How do you feel about Dungeons & Dragons? Are you gonna go see it? If you didn't see it, tell us why not. But really, you should. And we'll see you on the next one. And we'll be back with that guy, Wes.
Yeah.
Whoever that guy
Can't
is.
wait
I
till
don't
we
know
get.
who he is.
Oh, Wes, we miss you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is stupid.
incredible.